Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Low Code Hour. How are you today? Hi Trust Code. So we're back for the first time in months, and it's not dark outside, so that is something to celebrate. Um, Besides the fact that we're doing Postman today, which I'm really excited about. Um, Quick disclaimer, it is not a tutorial. We're not showcasing anything really. I just wanted to show you what I'm working on. I'm in the process of putting together a public workspace for the Vonage APIs. So thought I'd show you how far I've gotten with it, how you can use it. I haven't actually pressed the publish. Well, haven't really made it publicly available yet because I wanted to pass through everything first and then make it available. But soon. Oh, hi, Michael. Oh no. What happened? Well, at least I can say I can empathize and both sympathize. Um, it's yet another Groundhog Day in the UK, which has been a little too many lately. Hi, Greg. Well, I like that attitude. Yep, that would be also another perk. So I'll take it as your learning go, Michael. Right. In the meantime, I'm gonna go and launch Postman. All right. Also, if anyone has a better name, I'm listening. And this is so far the Vonage API's workspace. So we have the Vonage APIs all in one collection, as you can currently find them. So this is the part that is already public. You can import it, use it. All our generally available APIs are in there. Feel free to have a go at them. Nicely categorized. You have the requests, and for each request, you have different examples. Usually a successful one and multiple not successful ones to see what you could get back. We also have certain variables. So for example, API key and API secret are templated. These currently show up as unresolved. That's because work in progress. Previously, we've used environment for all Vonage APIs. Now I'm trying to transition to a collection level. So all essential variables to be collection level, and not use an environment, not force an environment on a collection, so that someone can come in and fork only one API if that's all they want, as opposed to having to get all Vonage APIs to use one of them. So depending on your use case, you could go either way. For example, if you're looking to use multiple APIs, then I would go just Vonage APIs collection. There's everything we have currently generally available. You can have a look at all those, or I'm gonna make them available one at a time. So one collection. Let me start again. For each API, I'm going to put them in here. So you'll find each API. For each API, there will be a collection and also a mock server, so that you can fork only one API at a time. Right. So we are going to leave this aside for now, because we've looked at it previously a couple of times. So if you go on our YouTube channel, then I've been talking about this Vonage APIs collection. And today we are looking at the other two that I've recently created and see if we have the time to create another one. Okay. So I believe to do that, I actually would need to make it. Oh, it's theme level. That's great because I can fork it into my workspace, and that's kind of like someone would do it once it's available publicly. So account API, that's possibly the first one that you're gonna come into contact with. Yes, balance, secret management, configuration, although you could get started without that. I tend to start in here because then we know that's all right. So to use it, you will need to fork it, create a fork, right? So source is account API, fork label. This is gonna appear as a label next to it. So let's go with the test label, and I want it to go into my workspace. Right, so here we go. Now let's see, on the collection level, so you could have pre-request scripts and tests. From my understanding, these are collection levels. So before running a collection, because there is an option to run a collection. I don't see this feature that useful in case of the Vonage APIs, because you wouldn't necessarily want to run every request from one collection. But if you build yourself a collection, or maybe later on, we come up with a workflow collection where there's multiple APIs from multiple companies, multiple services tied together for one certain use case, and everything is nicely organized, one request after the other, grabbing variables from previous responses, then yes, you might choose to run a collection, but not in this case, so you won't find anything under pre-request or test. Now, in the variables, you will see a couple collection level variables that are needed for requests going to this API endpoint. There are two base URLs, API key and API secret, those two to authenticate. Now, the initial value is going to stay the same. Current value is going to be what you update with your values. So if you create a pull request afterwards, because this is a fork, so kind of works like GitHub or Git. You have a fork, you can make changes and then create a pull request back, which is also a good way of developing these. Because if you're directly doing it in the workspace, then you're kind of committing to main. So this is a better way. Right. So before we get started, we will need API key and API secret, because we need that to authenticate with most Vonage APIs. We'll get to the other ones as well, because there's another type of authentication as well. But for now, API key and secret is all we need. So I'm going to my Vonage dashboard and grabbing not my main, but the throwaway API key and API secret, and fill it in these fields. Of course, something went wrong. I do not wish to close the tab, so I'm not sure what's happening in there. Okay, let's try again. And secret. That is all good, and click save. Okay, so let's see my account balance. First request is get account balance. As you can see, the URL is all prepared. API key and API secret are templated. These are collection level variables. So everything is prepared for you. Now there is something I've put in here, which is mock response code. For now, we won't need this, but when we use mock servers, you can select whether you would like the successful or the problematic use case to go through, as in what kind of response you would like to get back. And then without going to the API, you can use the mock server and see all possible outcomes. But for now, we're going to the actual API. I hope so. But we'll double check the URL. Yes, those are the actual API endpoints. So we are good to go. Send request. And that is indeed my account balance. Hopefully. Yes, that's definitely enough for today. All right. Now, I would have expected the mock server to appear in here as well. So I'll have to see how that works. I'm quickly changing back to the community workspace, because we have this mock server in here, not application, the account API. Maybe I just need the URL from here. Let's try that one. So I'll update the base URL. Yes, we were in this request, and I am going to update the base URL REST to the mock server URL and see what happens then. So let's do that. Back to the account API, variables, and the current value. Right, save. So now if I send it, yes, it came back. So this is another value. That's because in the examples, the successful case, that is a different value provided in there. So when I don't actually go to the API to check my actual balance, it will send me back the response object from the example. Hi, Alex. All right. And now we can come back to the headers. Now, I decided to go with same key, different values, and then take which one you want. I found it easier that way. Further down the line, I've seen requests where there's about 6 or 7 outcomes. So I'm not sure I'm going to go with this one, this way, offsetting the expected value. So let me know if you have opinions on that. Possibly it's going to be one key value pair and then description with all the options. That might be a better one. But if I send a mock response code of 200, that means that when it goes to the mock server, which I'm doing now, it's sending back the response body of the successful example. Now, if I untick the 200 and I want the 401, then it will send me back the error code and the authentication failed example. To achieve the authentication failed, that means either API key or API secret isn't correct or they don't go together. Again, this is a predefined example, so it doesn't actually compare the value, just simulates how it would work had you provided the wrong values. So let's see the next request. This is top up balance. Which again has 2 examples. I'll be honest here, I do not pay for Vonage. Yes, Michael, that's a good point. Today's description was a little off. Well, you are watching the Vonage APIs, public Postman workspace being built and sort of the shape it's in right now. Also, you are hopefully providing feedback and feature requests. Also, tips welcome. Questions welcome also, but might have to refer out for those. Hopefully having a good time and wondering whether raising chicken or software development is a better way to go. So quite a similar way for top up. I can't exactly show you the real thing, but I can use the mock server to give back one of the 2 examples. We have the privilege of an account that never runs out of credit, but that's how you would top up your account. Secret management. Possibly not worth going through all of these. Retrieve API secrets. Again, everything is templated. You can create a new API secret. But again, all of those are going to be a one-click request, everything templated in there. Now, this is unauthorized. Yes, I do not have a 201 successful example, so it gives back the next closest one, which is actually a good spot. Now, this should be the one coming back. That's because it goes to base URL, and we've only updated base URL REST. So this would need to be in there as well. Okay, so now if I resend that with 201, yes, well, that's an example, but matches the same response object from the successful example. Same way you can retrieve API secret. Just pay attention. There might be some fields where you have to fill it in. For example, here you have to provide a secret ID, and in a similar way, revoke an API secret. Again, secret ID comes in here, and that's about the account API. There's also configuration, changing account settings, but yet again, API key secret. And if you're mocking, then select this one of those, and that should be good to go. Now, let's look a little bit at the other one. So I'm quickly closing this down. We are not exactly saving anything. And back to the Vonage API's Workspace and the application API. So these are used for authentication as well. When we're not only using API key and secret, there's a way to use applications for authentication with the Vonage APIs. For example, the voice API is one of those that requires an application. So I'm going to fork this as well. Hi, Walter. Okay, so application API, fork label, yes, yet another test. And I wanted to go to my personal workspace forking the collection. And here we go. So if we look at first difference, that will be that this one, hi Brett, to frog. Ooh, a lot of new people. Hi everyone. So the previous one didn't have any auth, and we used API key and API secret in the variables. Now, a cool thing that I believe is quite a new feature for Postman is that you can select collection level auth. And in here, we are doing basic auth. Now, another thing that I think is a good tip, and I didn't instantly recognize, that you can template these values. So if I do show password, that's actually a templated API secret. So it's a collection level variable that I'm templating into the collection auth. Whoa, that's a lot of people. Welcome. So these two will be hi, Luke. Indeed. Well, we are experimenting with Postman, to be honest. Okay, so everything that's in this collection is going to use authentication basic auth. And we will be providing the values in here, again, like in the other collection. There's also a private key and application ID. We'll get to those. These values you don't need to provide. These will be generated. How about now? Right. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. So, thanks for the follow. Oops. Not that one. This one. And try to say that. Definitely. Right. So, private key and application ID will be generated. We still have to provide API key and secret. I'm going to quickly grab them from my dashboard just like before and fill them in. See, Michael, this is your time. You're always looking for them. Now you can have them. That's totally my actual secret. That's what I came up with. And we're good to go. So base URL is the actual one that goes to the API. So let's see, what can we do with it? List available applications. So this will list all my applications. Read-only API. I'm not sure. What do you mean by that? If someone would like to weigh in on that question, I would be happy to pass it on. All right. So what permissions do the credentials have? No, it's not read only. It will read write except for a mock account. So there's not a lot of damage that can be done. But it's a perfect simulation of a full-on account. So if you sign up to Vonage, then what I'm doing here is what you can do in there. No worries. Thanks for the question. Right, so all you need is the auth in here, which is inheriting from the parent, that being the application API collection. And yeah, it's a one-click thing. And then we have total items 4. That means I should be having 4 applications in here. I'm not sure how big this is on stream. All of them are demos I've created earlier, but you're going to have an application ID, a name, public key, and then what's more important, capabilities. So these applications will have a certain capability. For example, if you're using them for voice API, then it will have a voice capability. There's also RTC messaging and BBC, which I believe is Vonage Business Cloud. Haven't really used that. It's on the application side of things. So main idea is I've got back a list of all applications I have associated with that API key. same way as before, we could also use a mock server by grabbing the URL from the mock server and putting it in here for the base URL. I'm not going to do that today. We'll just carry on working through the requests with the actual API. So that's a great question. They are auto-generated, but then I'm going in there and editing them. Actually, let me show you what happens when we generate them. Because by now you kind of got the idea of what's happening in there. Yeah, create an application. We are going in a similar way, except actually I'm gonna still show you this one because this is different, and then we're gonna import one from the API spec, and I'll show you how it works. It's mostly imported, API imported, collection generated, mock server created, and connected to the previous two. But then anything that is variables or pre-request script tests, that is what I have to do manually. Also, for example, this request, when it first comes in generated, it will have mock data, as in, for example, it instead of this template that is sort of guiding you where you need to put certain values, for example, names, public key, you see that there's a string and you have to provide a string in there. So at this point, I can try sending the request, but it isn't gonna work. Bad request. That's because all those values need to be filled in. So this is how it imports from the OpenAPI document. So you will have values filled in, all the example.com type of values, but it will have everything filled in. And then I strip those down to something that's, I hope, is a bit more usable for people. And I also do things like this in the test area where I save the value of private key and application ID, so that when I go on to future requests, these are saved into the collection variable. So every time you need to save something at collection level, that's pm.collection variables.sup. Also, you can get them with pm collection variables.get. And if you look in the right-hand side, there's actually a bunch of really useful links. You could go to, I love the Postman documentation. It's really simple, concise, helps a lot. So that's always a good thing to do. So if you're here and you would like to see how this works, but this thing is a little confusing, then you can go to the successful use case, grab it all, come back to the actual request, and replace this with the successful use case. I don't think you need to provide key and value. Let's well try. No, that's a bad request. The keys should not be in there. we have an ID. No, we are trying to create an application, so we don't have an ID at this point. We have a name, we have a list of capabilities that we would like to see. And these links might also not be. All right. And now we have a application created status. So where am I getting these from? If you come to developer.nextmo.com, yes, you're in the right place. We're going to rebound and look for the applications API. Should have gone to the API reference. Right. And we are trying to create an application. So now here you can see what are the required parameters for the request body. And actually, there is only the name that is required. Also, if you'd rather go through all this yourself and build the requests from scratch, we have the OpenAPI definition here. You can download it and import it into Postman. Okay, so let's see how that works. Which API should we look at? So verify is a little longer, although I quite like it. Number insight might be. Okay, so yep. So in the API reference, there is a button at every single API, and you can download the definition and open it in Postman. So we will do that. Did I click download? I believe so. No, I did not. So download. We are saving the file. And now, this is my own workspace. For this next step, I'm going to go back to the public workspace, which is at this point not so public because it's a work in progress, but will be public very soon. We already have account API, application API, and now I am going to import. And I just drag the downloaded file over here, and magic happens. That's correct. Number inside API, import as API, and link the collection as documentation. It's already ticked to generate a collection from the imported APIs. There are some advanced settings. I don't particularly bother with most of those. I just like to have the collapsed redundant folders switched to on. It helps further down the line. And import. One API and one collection were imported. They'll show up in the sidebar in just a few seconds. Next steps, would we like to publish imported APIs to private API network? Yes, indeed. This is how I got introduced to Postman. Okay, and now under APIs, we have a number inside API. So overview, we have the API schema. I believe it already generated collection, but had we not clicked generate collection before, we could click it here and generate a collection from the schema. We can see the OpenAPI definition. We can also validate. Now these are the moments when you end up at the question of chicken egg, which came first. When you find out your API and oh, look at that, matches perfectly. And you can also add the mock server in here. Create new mock server, generate from API schema. That should work. Also, you could do it from, yes, we're always back to chicken, especially when you import the OpenAPI document and that gets validated against the API and the two don't match, which is why I quite like using Postman, because that's the kind of things that you realize while using it. So the previous one I've showed you was generated from a collection. So let's see how one generated from the API schema works. And we're going to have to name it. I'm using the same name for API, mock server, and collection so that it's obvious that they go together. So number inside API. We're going to disable optional parameters for now. These are, I believe, the take the run tag. So why does it say select collections? Okay, use an existing collection. Yes, we already have the number inside the API. So generate from API schema, I believe, generates the collection and then uses it, as opposed to using existing collection, which got generated when we added the number inside API. So that now makes sense. Select collection and continue. And now we name the mock server, which is number inside. I always get confused whether it's number or numbers. I should know by now, but version tag current, yes. Environment, no environment, because we're trying to keep it collection level. Also, if you have opinions on that, let me know. We don't want it to be private. We want people to use it. And we don't have an environment, so we're not saving it into the environment. But that might be a thing you might choose to do. And we're creating the mock server. Okay, and here is the link that we can use, but I'm closing it for now. Click to validate. All good. That's always good news. Usually it goes another way. And every time you just need to mock something, copy URL, copy it to clipboard, you're good to go. Okay, test. I don't have tests so far. Let's see the collection. Okay, so number inside API. Yes, there are, if you look at the API reference, there are different kinds of insight you could ask for, I guess. So number insight tells you things about phone numbers, and based on which one of these you select, that is basic, standard, or advanced. Also for advanced, there is async and sync. Basic gives you the basic information, standard gives you more details, and advanced gives you all the details that we have access to. So let's see in what shape these are. Basic number inside, it's a GET request. It has API key. So that's interesting. API key as a Boolean. Oh, yeah, and I haven't shown you the best part, that it comes with documentation. So number. This is going to be the phone number that we want details on. Country code, I believe that is not a required value. And format is JSON, that's the response. Okay. Let's see, successful example. Yes. So the successful example has an API key. Is that the secret? Okay, let's try to make a request. Quickly templating API key in here. Okay. Keyboard died, so please bear with me. It might not be the keyboard. No, not keyboard. Why can't I edit API key? Oh, so it imported with OS type API key. But it should have API key and API secret as query parameters. So, yeah, these are the parts where we have to come in and change things. So I'll select no auth, come into the variables and set API key and API secret. I tend to leave a message in the initial value so that you know what you're looking for. Um, oh, and you can see that when I set the initial value, that gets persisted as the current value. So every time you export something, current value doesn't export, initial value does. I'm also replacing those with my actual key and secret. Right? And back to the request. Let's see. Okay. So now we are. So I'm not sure I can remove those. But it's disabled, so that's interesting. Oh, I haven't saved it. I always do this. I forget that whenever you change something at collection level, you have to save. Otherwise, it doesn't instantly show up. And now you can see that it disappeared. So API key. No, that's not a dash, that's an underscore. API secret. And I'm using the templated values to pull it in. All right. I would provide a description in here. So yeah, I tend to grab it from other parts. For example, yeah, I forgot to add it. So I'll just go to the docs and grab an accurate description in there. But it's your API key and API secret being pulled in, country code, and now I'll need a phone number. Do we have one in the API reference that I can use? Oh, there's one. So that's the number. We want details on, and it looks like we are set, hopefully. Not a valid number format. So what format does it want me to provide the number in? In national or international format? It also came back with 200 OK and status 3. So we can check out the error message. 3 is your request is incomplete and missing some mandatory parameters. So the number is required and the format is required. Right. So Yeah, that sometimes. So that should work. No, that's not. Let's see how it is in the other collection. Oh, yes, it's saved as a collection variable, the format. Okay, so well, actually, let me show you something nice. So I can say JSON. This doesn't work for some reason. I can set it as a variable. Set as a new variable. I'll name it format. Value is JSON, and scope is going to be a collection level variable. You also can opt for global, which is everything you have in your instance, or environment variable. But we're not using an environment for this one, so we'll leave it as collection set variable, and it turns from red to orange, which is the indicator that it's all good and resolved. So let's try this again. Is it the country? Not a valid number. Did I paste in a space? Okay, let's try another number. So it needs an national or international format. Right. So we have a 200 OK, and that's successful. The status is 0. That means everything is all right. We have a request ID, and then country name prefix. So quite basic information, international format, national format. So if you were capturing someone's phone number, maybe validating it, then you could grab the correct format from here, or a country code. Now let's see what's the difference between, actually, let me save this. Yes, I tend to do this. So when I have a successful request, then I save response, save as an example, and I name the example. Usually the successful one I name as success, and then whatever is an error message or a furrow something, I will name after the error code. Okay, and what do I want? Well, this number I will edit as random one, and I'll paste it in here. as well. So this is just the example. I'm editing whichever bit I want to customize. If I want to leave a little bit of description or do anything with the example, I can edit it here, and it's all saved, so it's good to go. The difference between the one that automatically got generated and the one we just did is that this comes from the spec, so random numbers without API key templated, and there's a couple of extra spaces. But yeah, the response object is quite similar. It's a little nicer if we actually do the request, make the request, but not a lot of difference in here. I will usually remove the automatically generated example, especially if we have a corresponding actual one. And then moving on to standard number inside, which again looks quite similar to the previous one. And now we have to get in there. So we can see that in number inside, we use the number quite often. So I could set this as a variable, as a new one, name it as number, and scope collection level is again, and turn to orange. And now at the next step, I can just template it in to the number field, and it will grab that one. Country codes. Yeah, we could do that as well. Although I believe the correct country code was no, it's GB. That is correct. So we can template that in as well. Right. Save. Back to the standard. So now instead of this, I start typing country, and country code will pop up. CNAM. We're not sure what that is, so let's see what the description says. Indicates if the name of the person who owns the phone number should be looked up and returned in the response. Set it true to receive phone number owner name in the response. And this feature is available for US numbers only and incurs an additional charge. Well, unfortunately, I am not in the US, so I cannot test that feature, so we'll leave it as false. Again, the format will need to take the templated value. And let's see if there's anything else. Authorization is inherited, which is none, and the rest looks all good. So save, and let's see what it returns. Invalid credentials, right. So, oh, invalid credentials because we do not have an authorization. We also did not provide API key and secret, so I'll need to do that here and grab the value from the collection level variables. Also the secret. And now we have our return object. Status 0, so everything went well. It is a success. And as you can see now, compared to the previous one, this returns a lot more details. So previously we only had international format, national format, and country code, country name. And now we have request price, balance remaining. That is my Vonage account. How much it cost me to do this, and how much I have remaining. And then further information about the phone number, network code, also network name, carrier, what type of phone is it? Is it a mobile? Is it a landline? And it also picks on the fact that it's a ported number, and roaming status is unknown. But it's a lot more details about said phone number than the basic one. So let's say if we actually, let me see what the example was in here. Oh, so we have an example for this request from the US. And yes, in case of a US number, there's a lot more details down here. So we have a color identity, which identifies the color type, which in this case is a consumer. We also have a name, first name, last name. So yeah. So let's see what's in advanced. Advanced. Let me see which one. So this is the async, and there's the sync. Let's quickly head over to the API reference. So standard is the one we did right now, and then we have advanced number inside. So async is recommended to avoid timeouts. And I'm wondering, so it requires a callback, status message. I feel like this is the response object. Okay, so synchronous. Okay, so IP is deprecated because we're no longer able to retrieve reliable IP data globally from carriers. So the required fields are actually just a number. So let's do this one. Well, we have format and the number required. So advanced number inside, and this is the synchronous. I'm not sure how fast that's going to be, but we'll try to make it. So number, we already have the number saved as a variable, so grabbing that. Same goes for the country. CNAM false indeed, because we are not in the US, so I'm unable to get that kind of information. I will need to provide API key and secret. Also grabbing these. And format as well. Save and send. Oh, look at that. On the first try. So it says partial success, some fields populated. It's not obvious at first glance to me how much more information this gave than the other one. So let's see the example. So it is supposed to return lookup outcome. Well, whether the number is valid and reachable. So that's like, does it have coverage? Can it receive a phone call or an SMS, I believe. I used to use it in an app I built. It was an out of office voicemail kind of thing. So I would check whether the number is reachable. And if it's not reachable, then I would record a message and directly send it to voicemail, as opposed to connecting the number. So that might be an opportunity. Yep. So the example looks good. The actual return object is successful as well, with slightly less details. Now that might be because I'm in the UK and less details are available. I believe that's something that changes country to country. But yeah, here we go. So that is the number inside API added to the Postman workspace as a Postman collection. I'm yet to do the advanced number inside async. Well, I could actually do that. So there's a callback URL that I have to provide. I'm curious for the example. Yeah, it doesn't do a really detailed example. So this is the async response. And I'm more interested in the request, not response. Okay, so this is an opportunity for us. Oh, thanks for the follow. So this would be an opportunity to set up a monitor, I believe, in Postman. I haven't done that before, but it would be a good one. No, a monitor lets you run a collection periodically. So I do need an endpoint where I get a callback. Well, I guess I know what I'm yet to do this afternoon. I'll still have to finish up the number insights advanced async bit and slowly adding in other APIs until all of our APIs are in here. We're also keeping the Vonage APIs collection as in all APIs in one space if you want to fork that and have a play with it. That's definitely a good place to start. You can do that today if you go to explore.postman.com or postman.com/explore. And up here, type Vonage. Then collections. Oh, 10 collections. I'll be interested in that. So there's the Vonage APIs, which we're aware of because that's what we've been looking at today. I'll have to check this out later on. Yes, so you come to the Vonage APIs collection, and there is a Run in Postman button, which will import it into your workspace. If you would rather see the documentation first, then you can click on View Documentation and work through the same folders. It's the same folder structure for the same APIs as you would see in the collection. And you have all you need to know actually about these requests all available here with code snippets on the right side. So should be good to go. Yep, let me know what you think. I suppose I should have somewhere my name tag. Yes, I did not add that. Anyway, I'm going to leave in the chat our Slack channel. Come find us on our community Slack. Let us know what you think. If there's anything you would like to see in there, if you have any ideas, questions, Postman, or any other Vonage related, APIs related, low code related questions, ideas, thoughts, even requests, please let me know. Come in there and find me. If you're looking to learn some more things, check out our learning platform, which I'm not sure what the short command is for that. And yes, that is going to be the blog. I'm quickly leaving a couple of things in there. So it says amazing articles and projects, but there's so much more in there. We'll actually have a course oriented at people trying to learn APIs and JavaScript. Whatever your background or level, feel free to join. Also, there's loads of articles, tutorials, and there's a lot more coming this year. So check out that space. If you would like to contribute, then we have a spotlight program. So if you'd like to write for us and you have an idea you think the community would benefit from, then reach out. There is that link. You could submit your idea in there, and hopefully see you on the other end. We are there to help you, guide you through the writing process if you would like to work on your writing skills. So looking forward to that. And I believe that's a wrap for today. We'll be back with Postman soon. Hopefully next time I see you, it will all be done and publicly available. So that should be exciting. And I'll be back in 2 weeks' time with some Node-RED, because I've been missing Node-RED and I haven't done it in a while. So looking forward to that as well. In 2 weeks' time, 3 p.m. And see you there. Thanks for joining, everyone. Bye.